From North Carolina, we now go to Georgia. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Lucy McBath. Congresswoman, it's always good to see you. But both President Biden and Vice President Harris were in Georgia this week, where Governor Brian Kemp says there have been at least 33 deaths related to Hurricane Helene, including the youngest known victims of the storm, a pair of 5-week-old twin boys who died in their mother's arms as a tree fell on her bedroom in a small town of near Augusta. Nearly 4 dozen of the state's counties are under major disaster declaration, while thousands remain without power in Georgia's eastern and southern regions. How are your constituents in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, doing tonight?
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Al. And Hurricane Helene was so detrimental for the way of life for so many people here in the state of Georgia. And I have just been heartbroken to see and hear the stories of so many that have been impacted. They've lost their homes, their lives have been uprooted, and businesses have been washed away. And I did sign a letter to the president urging the administration to immediately make sure that they are considering additional support for all of the affected areas that really need it. And I've been grateful to work with my colleagues here in Georgia, both our senators and my congressional colleagues in the state, to make sure that our communities are getting the aid that they need. But there's still so much work yet that needs to be done. And we just continue to make sure that we're doing what we can to be as effective and expediting those resources as quickly as we possibly can.
Now, Congresswoman, how concerned are you that the damage done by Hurricane Helene, coming so close to Election Day, will interfere with the vote in the states for the states most affected? And with 4 weeks left, what role can the federal government play in protecting access to voting as it renders aid at the same time?
Well, you pose a really good question. We know that there has been a lot of movement towards voter suppression here. You're adding on the additional layers of concerns that people are having about, taking care of their families and their livelihoods and their homes in the wake of the hurricane. So those are additional stressors that will add to people's ability to be able to vote. But I do know that the administration continues to do what they can do. We know that Harris and Walz both have been here in Georgia. They've been around the states. They've been around the country doing everything that they need to do. I'm not a legal expert, but I do know that what we've seen here in Georgia, Donald Trump's acolytes, on the state election board, they've been trying to pave the way for him once again to infuse chaos in our elections. And so with the added stressors of the hurricane, that's just going to add more stress. But I'm the daughter of civil rights leaders who marched in the civil rights movement. And as I've said before, I was the child in the stroller at the March on Washington at 3 years of age. And the rules that operate in a way that undermines all of the work that we have done here in Georgia, all the work that we've done all around the country, we're not going to let anything undermine our ability to make sure that all of our citizens, no matter what circumstances they're in, have the ability to exercise their right to vote. We must not allow any bad actors to tear our democracy apart, and we will continue to do what we need to do to help those individuals that have been in this crisis with the hurricane still exercise their right to vote.
Now, staying with the election and election interference this week, state and national Democrats filed a joint lawsuit against Georgia's MAGA Republican-dominated Board of Elections over a new rule that demands additional polling personnel in every county to hand count ballots following a machine count. Then Georgia Democrats asked a Fulton County judge to block additional rule changes that could allow county election officials to delay certification. Now, voter advocates and critics of the new rules say they're designed to benefit Donald Trump in Georgia. We should add, those critics include even some top state Republican officials. Are you concerned about these changes? And if so, what worries you most, Congresswoman McBath?
Well, of course, Reverend L, I'm very concerned about the changes. These are last-minute changes, and we know that last-minute changes really have a great impact on the ability for people to exercise their right to vote. And as I just said before, these last-minute changes are paving the way for Trump to be able to pave his way to be able to, create chaos in our elections. You know how close the election was for the Biden-Harris administration here in Washington before. We know what happened with the 11,000 some odd votes before. So we've seen this playbook before, and we will continue to make sure that we do everything that we can do, everything that we've done before to make sure that every individual in the state of Georgia has the ability to access the ballot box. We're watching very closely. We have election attorneys here. We have people who are really volunteering in mass numbers to make sure that we have fair and free elections. We will continue to do as we've always done. The rules that we see right now are undermining our ability to be able to do so. But we will overcome those rules because we know how important it is that people exercise their right to vote. This is the bastion of the civil rights movement. So many of our icons fought so hard to make sure that people have access to the ballot box. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that that's possible.
People gave their lives to give us access to the ballot box. And to see this, when you refer to 11,000 votes, you're referring to former President Trump asking Georgia officials just find him 11,000 some odd votes. That's part of his indictment in the state of Georgia. Before we wrap up, though, Congresswoman, the U.S. added 254,000 new jobs in September, according to this week's Fed report. Unemployment sits at just 4.1%. That's the biggest job growth since March, and about 100,000 jobs more than what economists expected. Yet, despite months of numbers like these, the economy continues to be a primary concern for voters. How does the vice president beat back against the gloom and capitalize on these economic headwinds with just a month left to make her final pitch?
Well, Reverend Al, I was a single mother for about 12, 13 years as I was raising my son, Jordan, here. And I know how important it is to be able to make ends meet and to be able to raise your children and keep food on the table. But the latest jobs report is overall really great news for our workers and for the American economy. It shows strength and it shows hope. And that is exactly what Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are giving the American people. They're giving us hope. The Biden-Harris administration has created 16 million jobs as, these are the recent numbers that we've just been told. So there is hope. There is a building of a strong economy going forward. So our work continues in Congress to keep making sure that our economy and our nation's economy is strong. That is our role, but I have no doubt that what the Biden-Harris administration has done, the foundations that they've laid, it will be executed when she is president as well. So this is good news for America. This is good news for our economy. This is good news for our workers. And I hope that we're able to continue to build upon what we've been doing.
All right. Thank you, as always, for being with us, Congresswoman Lucy McBath of Georgia.